This is the Just Because Buzz. I'm Merritt Crawford. Thank you for joining me. Today is Thursday, January 26, 2023, and it's a snowy day here in Northwest Ohio. So I have a warm, cozy sweater on, and I hope you'll sit down and just grab some stitching or something to drink and just sit back and enjoy some things I have to share with you. It's been a little while. I do have some new subscribers, and I am so thankful that you're here with me. And I know that that's probably a result of some shout outs, especially from Annie, the Proper Stitcher. We've been doing a sale together, and we both finished our projects, which I'll be showing you. So I thank Annie for that. That's such a sweetheart. So I've been absent for a bit. I hadn't planned on going this long without filming, but as many of you know, our daughter got married prior to Christmas, and so I was quite busy with that. But I will share more about that at the end of the video if you'd like to see some pictures and just a little update. But I want to thank you for being here. If you're new here, I have been stitching for quite a while. I came back to stitching pretty heavy during 2020, like so many others. And I also like to quilt and do wool applique and embroidery. So you may see quite a few things like that sprinkled in my videos. So I want to go ahead and get started. I usually start with an FFO, an older one, either from my hand or from a family member or a friend from the past. And what kind of got me started back into cross stitch prior to even 2020 was I had been in my local quilt shop, and she started carrying some of the DMC little kits. And a couple of them caught my eye, and one of them will be obvious why it caught my eye when I share it. And then I got heavy into the stitching and thought, oh, I really want some needle books because they're so cute and fun to make. So I'm going to share those with you today. That's my old FFO. So these are what the little kits look like. So you can see the bee skep there. That caught my eye. And the other one that I'm going to share today is the little bicycle with the flowers. And they come in little cellophane bags. I've also done the little bird here and made it into a needle book for my mom. I don't have it to show, but you could go back to my Instagram handle, which is just because, because. And because it's spelled BeeCuzz. So you could go to my Instagram account. I'll list that below. And you could see the bird one. So this is the little bicycle. And this is the back. And I used an Amy Simbaldi tutorial and her instructions on how to do this. I did an E for embroidery. And then I also like to do needle turn applique. So I did some applique needles there. So just a fun project. And since the bee skep was a little bit wider, I just adjusted the pattern so that I could still make it in a similar fashion. And there's the bag. On that one, I decided to hand quilt the little squares with just a big stitch. And I only did a single piece of wool in this one, and still did an applique side and an embroidery side. So these are a lot of fun. And I believe these kits are still available. Again, here's the picture of some that are available on the back here. I've done 3 of those. It's probably all I'll do, but they are fun and they're quick. But they kind of got me back into that stitching desire. So, okay, so I have some new FFOs, fully finished objects in the stitching language. And one of them is O'er the Fields We Go by JBW Designs. And it was a stitch along with Annie, the Proper Stitcher. And we both have finished our projects, and it's so exciting to see how they've turned out. And this is the pattern that we used, and it is a fairly new pattern by Judy. She released it around the not market time, but the fall, when they do a kind of an online market for the needle workers to share with shops. their designs for the fall, and some of them are Christmas designs. And so I fell in love with this as soon as I saw it, and I knew Annie liked to stitch JBW. So I asked her if she might want to do a sal. We've had several others join us, and so that's been really fun. And we had the hashtag or the fields, or JBW or the fields sal. And so it was fun. I decided to use some things in stash. And so what I stitched mine on was a 28 count red DMC fabric. And then I used a DMC B5200 white pearl cotton. And so I will show you the results of that. And I also made it into a pillow. So this is my pillow. And I went pretty much how the pillow was finished in the front cover is how I decided to try to finish mine. And it turned out great. I really like it a lot. I'm still learning about pillows and how to get those corners nice and taut when you're trying to make those corners tight. But overall, I'm really pleased with the pillow. I did have this snowflake button in my stash, and it really is not a button as you would say with just like 4 little holes. It has, you know, these little cutouts. So I wound up just tying a bow through the center of it to attach it. And then I had some wool in my stash that my friend Louise had shared with me, and this was cut from an old skirt that a friend of hers had given her, and believed it was made in Scotland. And so that was pretty neat. My husband's heritage is Scottish, so it was fun to use something that was like to his heritage, you know, even though it wasn't from his family, so to speak. But I really enjoyed displaying this on my little church pew in my dining room, and it was a fun stitch to do. I enjoyed the pearl cotton. I liked how quick that was. You just pulled off one strand and you could just be stitching away, and it was a pretty quick stitch for me. Really enjoyed it. But head over to Annie's channel, The Proper Stitcher, if you haven't already seen her finish. She has a completely different look. She went with red thread on a neutral background. Beautiful, beautiful stitching and beautiful red. It was just phenomenal. And her finish of her pillow is done a little bit differently, so you'll enjoy seeing that. And if you're still stitching it, keep stitching and keep posting to the hashtag so we can see it. This would be a great winter stitch because it doesn't necessarily scream Christmas. You could easily do this in white on a blue background. I think that would be really, really pretty. Or even on a white background with some blue thread of your favorite blue thread. So we would love to continue to see you post to that hashtag. My next FFO was something I was really excited to finish. I had started these with Contented Stitcher Kim, and we started them last year. These are the stockings out of Home for the Holidays, and this is a Blackbird design publication. And there's 5 stockings in here, and I had planned to do all 5 stockings before May, and then have that much time until Christmas to finish them up. And that didn't quite happen, but I did get them finished before Christmas, and I did get them on my tree. I think I posted that on Instagram as well. So, like I said, there's 5 different stockings. I did go a little bit different. The stockings in the book are stitched on a variety of different tan fabrics, and I decided to go with white because my Christmas tree is in red and white and ornaments, and so that's what I decided to do. I couldn't wait to start this, so I didn't wait until I had the size linen that really matched the stocking pattern in the book. So my first stocking I had is a little bit bigger, and I had to adjust my pattern a little bit, but that's okay. I did use the called for reds that are in the book, just not the called for linen. So this is the first one, and I used a motif fabric for the backing. It is a Three Sisters Christmas design that came out this past year. And then the hanger are these lovely beads that were gifted to me by a fellow stitcher, so thank you so much. Now this is the correct size. So this was a 30 count and this is a 32. So you can kind of see the difference here. And again, there's the back. And mine are not stockings that can be opened the way I finished them. They're strictly for decoration. So you can see on this one, the thread is a little bit darker. And then I used a different fabric, but the same line by Moda and Three Sisters was the designer. And then the final one. So these are a lot of fun to stitch. The red threads are just beautiful. If you're always keeping a red project in your bag, that might be a good one to do because they're interesting. There's different motifs and lettering, and it's just like little samplers. And so you may want to consider that as your one red thread a day project. If you do that, it's a great project. So thanks, Kim, for doing those with me. I really enjoyed it, and it's great that we have those finished. So I do have some FOs. I belong to a little group called the Saturday Stitchers, and we decided to stitch something together this year. Actually, it was before Christmas. I'm not sure of the date. I'm a little laxed in getting mine fully finished, so I'm going to show it to you just in the finished state. But that was Love and Joy by Heartstring Samplery, and there's a little bit closer picture of it. And we chose our own linen, and we chose our own thread, and this is my linen, my thread. And my thread is called Aztec Red by Week Style Works. And I really like how it turned out. So I'll make a little pillow out of this, a little pin pillow. And I will enjoy having that for next year. It could even be displayed, I think, at Valentine's too. So if I get it done sooner, I can display it then. And then recently, my daughter and I went over to a bookstore in Perrysburg, Ohio, and we had been wanting to go to this place and just hadn't made it over there. It's a combination of new books and puzzles and new puzzles, and but then there's some older books in the back, you know, used books that people can sell. And as I was kind of milling around the store, I came upon this table that had quilting and cross stitch patterns, and I was like, this is interesting. And I was just looking around, and the lady that owned the store came over and said, is there anything I can help you with? And I said, well, I'm just curious about all the cross stitch and the quilting patterns over here. And she said, yeah, I'm a cross stitcher and quilter, and when the local shop went out of business, I thought, why not? I'll just stock some things that I enjoy and see how it goes. So she had a few patterns that I hadn't purchased before, and just thought it would be fun to support her. And so I bought 2 patterns that day. One I'll show you today. This is Hugs and Kisses by Primrose Cottage Stitches. And I changed the colors up a bit because I knew I had some pink that I wanted to use, pink fabric. And so I did change that up a little bit. And so this is what I did. And I chose 4 different pinks. I chose 309, 961, 962, and 963. And just substituted them according to how the pattern went with the lightest to the darkest. The 309 is the dark, pink that you see, or red in this case. So this was a lot of fun. It was a quick stitch and I really enjoyed it. I want to get it finished up so I can display it with my Valentine things. And then my friend April with April Heirlooms on Instagram, she encouraged me to start stitching the With Thy Needle and Thread Keeper of the Pins pin cushions. And many of you have seen this little booklet and stitched out of it. And she thought, you can do one a month. And I thought, yeah, sure, I can do one a month. So thanks, April, for your encouragement. And I have gotten one of those finished up. I had it ironed and then I got it creased again. But that one is a lot of fun. It is on 36 count vintage mocha. I just did not read the instructions very well and just started stitching with 2 threads. And so I went 2 threads over 2 and it's fine. I love it. The coverage is fantastic. It looks really, really bright. And then added the little beads for the pins on the tomato. And I look forward to stitching these with April. And I'll have to knock those wrinkles back out. I had it nice and flat and pretty, and then I laid a bunch of stuff on it while I was getting ready for the video and got it wrinkled again. So those are my FOs to share with you this time. Next, I'm going to move into my New Year, New Start. And I had several friends that were joining me. Celeste with Celeste Creates and Chrissy. She's over on Instagram too. I'll have to link her below. But we started this sampler and we loved it because mainly the verse is just gorgeous. And we all 3 started the sampler and we were all struggling a little bit. And Celeste shares over on her video, so you might want to go watch. And so we're just thinking about it and what we're going to do, but I'm going to show you my progress. I'm just not sure what it is that we're struggling with, but I'm going to show it to you and let you, maybe I can get some comments and see what you think. But this is it. It's Harriet Charlesworth Sampler 1822. It's a gorgeous sampler. It does have a lot of light threads in it in the border. I think that is part of it. It doesn't show up a lot. And even in those corners, as you'll see in just a moment when I show you my progress, you can't even see there's a big star in the corner. And, you know, this is an antique sampler. And so threads fade. And the reproductionist did a fantastic job. It's beautiful. It just was a little shocking that when we started stitching it, it was just not, the colors were just not going as well. I really don't know how to describe it, and maybe you all have come across this. I had another friend that I shared it with, and she said, just keep stitching. Maybe, you know, I think that happened with me. Just keep stitching and see what you think. But I'm not sure. It's a lot of time, a lot of commitment to stitch something this big and then not be pleased with it. And so there may be some change of colors. There may be just some portions that I stitch. I had suggested to Celeste that maybe we stitch the verse, since that's what drew us to the sampler to begin with. Stitch the verse on 28 count over 1 and maybe do some motifs on either side that we really like. That's a thought. There's other thoughts that I may do portions, cut portions out and do portions of it, which there's nothing wrong with that. I could do that too. So far, this is what I have. And even looking at it here, you can barely see that there is a star there. It's a very light blue. And then even around these buds, they used, it's like a gold. It's like cream. So it's just not showing up when you spend that amount of time stitching. You want it to show up better. It's okay that it's ghosty sometimes, but this is, and it could be just the lining. I don't know. I'm stumbling over this sampler, and it's beautiful. I love the sentiment. So we're thinking about it. I know Celeste has decided to move on for now. I'm not sure what Chrissy has decided yet. I'm still thinking about what I want to do. I may go ahead and stitch across that first border and the top border and the top navy alphabet, and then bring some things up and still stitch the verse. I'm just not sure. I'm going to think about it some more and decide what I want to do. It is my new year, new start. The linen that I'm using is a 36 count Shiloh by Linen and Needle and Flax, and it's a beautiful linen. I think it is beautiful. I don't have a problem with the linen. It's just not sure about the colors. The thread colors are gorgeous. The palette is beautiful. I'm wondering if a lot of it has to do with the jewel tones, and then all of a sudden these really light colors and the contrast, and then this really light blue. I just wonder if that might be it. I'd welcome some constructive comments, thoughts. I'm trying to be very gentle because Bridget, the lady that did the reproduction, I just want to be very sensitive to her. She's put a lot of work into this sampler. It's very beautiful, and I just want to be careful because she was very excited that we were stitching this, and now we've kind of come into a little bit of a struggle with it. So gotta stitch what you love, and we'll figure it out. All right, the next thing that I've been stitching, it's also a part of the Saturday Stitchers. And we started this past Saturday. We challenged each other to find a heart in a Blackbird design. It could be in a book or a little leaflet, whatever we decided we wanted to do. And I decided to choose a heart out of A Heart Remembers. It's one of their books that was released last market for 2022. And the one that I chose is called Heart of the Home. And I am using a 36 count linen that is called Everything Else, and the called for overdyed threads. And there's my star. So it's a very soft palette, very pretty. And so I'm excited to continue to stitch on this. Classic Blackbird. And here are the threads. Okay, so this brings me to my list of WIPs. And so I want to start by saying I have about 20. One of them I cannot find. It's an old one, and I'm not sure what I've done with it. I had it in a bag that used to be my go-to bag of stitching, and now I can't find it. I found that bag, but I can't find the stitching, so I'm not sure what I've done with it. I know it's a Mill Hill. I've shown it on here before. It is a couple of cardinals, and it, of course, has beading on it, and I'm just not sure about it. It's been kind of one that has languished because I started stitching it on linen and had used quite a either 2 or 3, probably 2 threads over the linen, and it's just really thick, and I'm just not sure about it. So anyway, if I find it one day and I decide to pick it back up, I'll show it to you. So I made a list earlier this year of the WIPs that I have, and I'm going to go through those down my list. They're not in really an order of when I started them, but I've never done a WIP parade, so this will just be my version. So the first one is called Frosty's Night Out. It is a Blackbird. And I plan to finish it the way they have it on the front cover. And I'm using Needle and Flax Endora 36 count and a combination of the called for and DMC and maybe a few of my own, just because I was trying to use what I had in stash. So really what I have to finish on him is the white stitching that's around there's a moon up there and some more snowflakes. So that's what I have to finish stitching for him. So a lot of this area here and a few around. The next one is called Blueflower Drum, and a friend of mine loaned this to me, and it's by Lottie Daw, and I plan to finish it as a drum as well. And beautiful soft colors. And there it is. So that's my progress so far. The next one is Seasons of the Heart Summer. This is by Blueflower, or the Blueflower, Janine, and this was published as a series in the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine initially, and now I believe she has released them as single charts. So initially it was in this magazine. Let's see. And this is the one I'm stitching. And Louise and I are stitching this together. This was my birthday start last year, and I didn't get very far on it before. I guess I squirreled and went to something else. So there's my start. So I need to get back to that and finish this one before I have a new birthday start. So I've got to get going on this one. And this is in a fun bag that Louise made me. I'll show that to you real quick. Okay, the next one is Consider the Lilies. This is a stitch that I've been doing on Sundays, and you've probably seen this. There's been quite a few that have finished it lately. Last year, Celeste finished it with Celeste Creates. Christy with Crosshouse Quilting also finished hers. And then there's quite a few of us still stitching on it. I believe Cynthia Brew was stitching in the lightest stitching on it. Me, New Hampshire Stitcher, she's a new floss tuber. I believe she's stitching on it as well. So there's quite a few of us stitching on it. And this is my update. So this is a big sampler, so it's going to be a little bit hard to show you everything in one frame. But I have been stitching across the top, but then I also started coming back over here and stitching as well. So recently I finished this big motif as well as this one. Let's see if I can get it a little bit closer and where you can see those two especially. So I have started using, or I've been using some of the called for and then some of my own, especially when it comes to the pinks and the reds. I've chosen some of my own coloring because I wanted it to look a little bit more like the photo on the book. I do have the border all the way around, so it does match. So it's my Sunday stitch. And there's quite a lot of threads, as you can imagine, in this one. Pretty big bundle of threads. Okay, so next up will be American Eagle. This is a Blackbird design out of Sweet Land of Liberty. So let me grab that. I'll show you the book. And the pattern is actually on the front. And here's my progress. So it's a beautiful one. I really like that one a lot. Looking forward to getting back to that one. The next one is also a Blackbird design, and it's out of one of their other patriotic books called Souvenirs of Summer. And it is called America. And I am stitching it on a 46 count that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. Using DMC. And it's coming along. I believe the DMC that I'm using for this one is a 304. Let's see. Yes, 304 DMC for this. And this was a Hobby Lobby 46 count. It's 1/1. And this is the color oat. And it says Weigart linen. And then the last patriotic stitch that I have is also called America. This is by Calico Confectionery. Beautiful stitch. I struggled with this one a little bit because of my mistakes. Nothing with the pattern. It was just me. But I'll get back on it and get it finished. It's a very pretty stitch. Love the lettering and the bunting. The bunting is what really brought me in, and the lettering too, but love the bunting. So I want to get back to that. So those are my patriotic stitches. Next I have some of the things that I've been stitching that are red. Besides that America by Blackbird Design, I have an unfinished sampler, and this was published by Mama Loves You GB, also has Instagram name by that name, and a FlossTube. And so her pattern was this top portion, and it didn't have the heart, I don't think. No, the heart, and it didn't have the numbers. Those are, I added those, and then I've added all these motifs. So I still have some motifs I want to add here, something to go along kind of with my, these are things that I enjoy, gardening, quilting, it's got my initial there, the bees. So I do want to add a few more things here, and then my plan for this piece is to turn it into a project bag front, and then the things that I want to be stitching that are just one red thread will go in that bag. So this is my plan. And again, this is a free pattern. It's called Unfinished Sampler Series #1 Mod by Mama Loves You GB. And the color I am using for this is Weeks Dye Works Cayenne. So I'm looking forward to getting that back out, and I mean, I'm so close to finishing it. And the book that I'm using for the motifs is this really great book. It's called The Ultimate Sampler Motifs book by Brenda Keyes, and this is a great one to have in your stash because there's so many motifs in there in addition to alphabets, And so many of these motifs came out of her book. And it's just a great one to have in your stash. A great reference book for needle workers. The next red piece that I have is by Quaint Rose Needle Arts. It's called Tetelestai. I started this last year on Good Friday, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful stitch. Kim, the Contented Stitcher, started it, and then Wanda and I also started stitching on it, and we've all done kind of different linens and different threads that we had in our stash. And I am using, I believe this is Country Mocha, a 36 count. I haven't gotten real far on it, unfortunately, but the thread that I'm using is Sulky, and it is a 12 weight, and I'm going to show it to you there. And then this is the number if you're interested. And so again, this is Quaint Rose Needle Arts, and it's called Tetelestai, which means it is finished. Okay, still with me? Let's see, I've lost my piece of paper. What did I do with it? Oh no. And I picked up my... Okay, we'll just keep going. I've got them stacked here, but anyway. A Token of Love. Actually, it's just called Token of Love. This was a piece at Blackbird Design retreat that I attended in the fall of 2021. It was a makeup retreat because initially it was supposed to be in 2020, the summer. And because it was postponed and people had to cancel, I was able to get on the list and be able to attend. And it was just a wonderful retreat. And the piece is something I've been working on quite a bit. I've kind of made a rule for myself that I can't attend another retreat till I finish the retreat pieces that I have already. And so this is the last retreat piece that I have to finish. So it's such a sweet piece. I'm stitching this in honor of our 30th anniversary, which will be later this year in November. And so I will personalize it for 2023. And I will probably put my husband's initial there, my initial somewhere around this bird, and make it personal that way. But it still needs all the work around on the vine. There's a little pumpkin here and some more motifs as far as leaves. Still some leaves coming down this way. But it is a beautiful little sampler. It's also been published now. It's in the new Blackbird Design fall book. I believe it's called Falling Leaves. And so all three of the retreat pieces that I received, which was, I've shown them in previous videos. One was the squirrel that's on the little box that I finished. You could also go to my Instagram account. And the other is like a little acorn motif that I finished as a drum. And so those three, or this pattern plus those two patterns, are in that new book. Plus there's other wonderful patterns. Okay, found my sheets again. All right. So the next one is a Prairie Schooler Santa. I actually have finished this one, I believe. Let's see. It's supposed to be stitching 1986. No, I haven't finished it. So this is my progress on the Prairie Schooler Santa 1986, which wasn't much. His little belt. And this is what he looks like. So far, whoops. So far, that's what I have finished for 1986. Then this is a new start, actually. I started it this week with Louise. She had one more Prairie Schooler to finish. And so I had the pattern and she borrowed the pattern. So I started this with her, and it's the 2008 Santa. I have all these little notes on it. So he has his sled and his tree and his presents. And this is my progress so far. So, working on him. My fabric came from an estate sale find. And it's been a little difficult to stitch on because I can't do the sewing method with it. It will slide under. So when I finish the fabric, use all the fabric that I have from that, I will then choose a different fabric to do some of the others. All right, the next one is Deck the Coop. This is a Stacy Nash, and I started this with Celeste of Celeste Creates. And the pattern is this. You may have seen this. I decided to do mine on 28 count, 1 thread over 1. And I love how it looks. It's so tiny and just petite stitching. I love it. I've got my rooster in. I've started the little hen up here. Got the house. The bottom's finished. It's a sweet stitch. It's been fun. All right. Next, I have Rocking Horse Holiday. This is an Artful Offerings pattern. And here's my progress. I did choose a different linen. I don't have that right in front of me as to which linen I chose. And I also changed the threads a little bit. It calls for tarnished gold and onyx, which I am using. The tarnished gold is this color, and the onyx, of course, is the black. But then it calls for parchment, and I am using a different color for that. I am using Whitewash by Weeks. And then for my red, I'm using Ruby Slipper. And for my green, I'm using Grape Leaf. It calls for Rhubarb, which is a rosy red. And for the green, it calls for Baby Spinach. So I went a little more, I guess, prim looking in my book anyway. And I wanted the white a little crisper, so I went with the whitewash. So there's, of course, the whole rocking horse and then another tree on the other side. So I've got quite a bit of stitching still yet to go on this one. I started at Thanksgiving Day of this past year. And this is my first Artful Offerings, and I've really enjoyed it. It's a very nice pattern. The next one was Winter Rose Manor. I started this on the first day of winter this past year, and it is something that many of you have seen and have maybe stitched in the past. Winter Rose Manor. I'm using the called for colors with the exception of the white. My switch, instead of Roasted Marshmallow, which for me, what I received was really yellow, I switched mine to Antique Lace by Classic Colorworks. So there's my start. I initially, as I was stitching this, wasn't crazy about my colors, even though they were the call for colors. I just wasn't sure, but as I've continued to stitch on it, I really like it, and I'm just going to continue with the call for colors, with the exception of the white. Let's see. Next up is something that's been new to me. I have never stitched a Hands Across the Sea sampler. And in one of my last videos, I think perhaps I mentioned this, that I thought it would be neat to stitch 1866 samplers, or samplers that had that year on them or around that year. And I've stitched one, the M. Faulkner, I believe is the name of it. I've stitched that one, and it had 1866 on it. And then Margaret Beatty, says circa 1866. So the Saturday Stitchers wanted to stitch this one together as a Christmas Day start. And so I decided to join in, since it met the criteria for my 1866, and I had never done a Hands Across the Sea sampler, so I decided to join in, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm so glad I did. So show you the picture. You may have already seen it, probably. It's been a pretty popular one. And I just ordered the PDF, or yeah, just bought the PDF and then printed it myself. This is the color palette. Lots of pretty pinks and tealy blues and greens. As a child, I collected bunnies, and so this also had a neat sentiment for me as far as the little girl leaning down and caring for the bunnies. So there's my start. I stitched on this quite a bit over the Christmas holidays, so I got quite a bit done. It's so pretty. I'm stitching mine on, I believe this is a Tropical Stitches. I didn't write that down, I don't think. I will have to let you know as I stitch more on it. I believe it is a Tropical Stitches piece. Yes, Tropical Stitches 36 count Lily is what I'm using for this. And it's a beautiful linen, really pretty. Next up would have been my Mill Hill Cardinal, and I can't find that one, so we'll keep going. This is By the Sea, and this is by Blackbird Design. It is in a book called Stitcher's Journey, and this is an out-of-print book that a friend loaned me, so it's just so sweet of her to loan it to me. And this is the pattern, and I stitched it this past September when my husband and I went up to Michigan on a little getaway. And I still have some personalization I want to do. I just haven't decided how I want to do it. For the majority of it is stitched. And I used a color and cotton, dark indigo, for my thread. And the thread, or excuse me, the linen I used is a 36 count Zweigart Silver Moon. Next up are the Christmas stamps. This is something I started stitching last year, and I had stitched the Madame Chantilly advent calendar that I did on the little blue pillows. You can go back in my Instagram around this time last year and see the 25 blue pillows that I finished for hanging them as kind of a day markers through the Christmas season. And so I wanted to do another set, and so I chose this set. This is Madame Chantilly, and it's called Christmas Stamps. And I'll show you my progress for these. Take just a moment to lay them out for you so you can see what I've done so far. I figure if I can stitch through 14 this month, then I could just do one a month for the rest of the year. So I'm working on that. I've stitched through 11. See if I can get them to stay up here. So that's my progress so far. I have 11 of them done. They're very cute. A lot of fun. I did change this bird to a bluebird. I wanted a little different color. But, oh, they're fun and they're quick. So the next one that I have to stitch is the little cardinal. I'll be starting that one. This row here. So if I go through this little bird, then I can start stitching one a month, and I would have all of them done by, well, December. Might have to do 2 in November or something. And I really want to finish them similar to this method. I want to finish a little ornament. I don't know if it'll be that big. Not sure. But I do want to do just little ornaments. So that's my plan for those. And then the final thing that I have as far as a WIP is really almost finished as well. And it's from the Blackbird design, Agnes Platt, Strawberry Sampler. And I decided to do this pincushion. And a better picture might be this. And my struggle that I've had with this was how to personalize it. And so there it is. And I've shown it already on here at this stage. So I want to, my name is too long to do a full name. So I'm thinking about doing initials and then maybe doing the date. I did go ahead and purchase the beads to do around the edge because I really do like that edge. And I want to do that. And the red that I used was a holly berry. That's the red I used. I'm not sure if that's what was called for or not. Let's see. Yeah, that's actually, it's holly berry. Nope, that's it. Holly Berry Gentle Arts was what was called for. So that's my decision. That's my dilemma, is I've got to figure out how to personalize it and then go ahead and finish it. This was my strawberry sal. What do we call it? It's a sal that my friend Kathleen and I do every first day of spring. It's the strawberry pick and sal. So there'll be one coming up for this spring too, and I just will share that when it gets a little bit closer of which strawberry stitch I want to do. But this was from last year, so I need to go ahead and finish it before I get the other one started. That's a good idea, isn't it? Okay, so those are my WIPs. So total 19. Now that I have 2 more starts, so bumped it up to 21. But I have several that are close to being very close to being finished, so I could get those knocked off hopefully this year. All right, so at my 700 subscriber list or goal, I had given away a small little pillow that had Thanksgiving on it, and I forgot to grab it for this video, but the lady that won never contacted me. I've looked and looked and tried to search for her and can't find her. So I did it again. I did the random comment picker again this morning, and Kim, the contented, Kim, the stay-at-home quilter, won. So Kim, the contented stitcher, commented, but she didn't comment with that in her comment. So sorry, didn't mean to get confused there. But Kim, the stay-at-home quilter, you are the winner of the Thanksgiving pillow. And so if you will contact me via the email in the description box, I would be happy to send that to you. And then as we approach my 1,000 subscribers, I would love to reach that this year. I think I can. I'm already in the 900s. I do have a really special giveaway for that, thanks to my friend Melinda Thomas with Lanyap Stitches. And it is a Bristol sampler pattern. So I would love to reach that 1,000 subscriber, even by my next video. That would be awesome. And give that sampler away. I have a copy as well, so it would be fun to stitch together. Next, I want to share my word of the year. I've never done that before. I've never picked a word of the year, but this year I was inspired to do so. There's several in our stitching community that do it and use the word throughout the year to just spur them on for whatever reason. So this year I decided to choose the word confident. I thought it was appropriate for some things that I want to accomplish this year, and so being confident will help with that. Having the confidence to do it, being mindful of that. So the verse I want to share with you is along those lines, and it's from Philippians, and it's Paul speaking to the Philippians. It's a letter that he wrote to them. And you may be familiar with the verse already, but it says, "For I am confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will perfect it until the day of Christ Jesus." So that's really an encouragement to me that my confidence is not in myself, it's in Jesus and what work he has done and the work he is doing in my life if I allow it and I want it. So then another verse that I'll share is Psalms 138, and it's called Psalms 138:8. "The Lord will accomplish what concerns me. Thy loving kindness, O Lord, is everlasting. Do not forsake the works of thy hands." So I want to leave you with those two verses, and there'll probably be a theme throughout my videos this year when it relates to, as it relates to confidence and being confident that what Jesus has started in my life, he will complete it. And then finally, I just want to share a little bit of an update. We had a wonderful wedding with my daughter in December, and I will share some pictures. It was just a beautiful day. We had great weather. It was majority outside with one barn that had the majority of seating and the food, and then there was a little outdoor dance area and outdoor seating with a fire pit, and so there was ample seating for everyone, for whoever wanted to be wherever they wanted to be, whether inside or outside, because it was pretty cool. But we had a great day. We had a great evening. The pictures are coming back and they're just beautiful. My daughter was so happy, and so was her husband. He was very thrilled with the whole thing and how everything went. So we had a great evening. It was great to see family that was able to come in from Baton Rouge and just surrounding areas, that friends that came, and so it was really, really nice. The milk glass that I was able to collect through the year was used for centerpieces, and I really enjoyed seeing those pieces with floral arrangements and with decorations around them. It was just a really, really pretty design that the floral designer came up with using the milk glass, so it was fun. I want to thank you so much for watching. This is a little bit longer than I normally like to have, but doing a WIP parade and sharing some updates with you, that's I knew it would be. I hope to be on a regular schedule of 2 weeks. This is something that I'm striving for this year, so that you will get notification. If you like the video, please subscribe, like, and then ring the bell. That gives you notification that I have a new video uploaded. I also have some goals of doing some tutorials, so be looking for those. And I want to thank Cynthia with Stitching in the Light. She did a video back in February of last year of things that you should try to do when you're doing a YouTube video, some tips, and I really thank you for that, Cynthia. That was such a sweet thing to do, and then to go back and be able to watch and use your tips. That is just really a sweet and kind thing to do. So I hope you have a great week. It's snowing here in Northwest Ohio. It's been a wintry week, but it's January, so you know that's what's to be expected. So I hope you are enjoying your stitching, and if you like to do quilting or wool applique, whatever you like, those things will be sprinkled in, like I said, in some of the videos coming up. And I will look forward to seeing you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.